Hi there! We're a few weeks into CZN's first seasonal update, and if at this point you're not channeling all of your roguelike deck building energy to the new Laboratory Zero, let me make a strong case for why you should. In my early assessment of Yuki, I underestimated just how much the seasonal cards and gear would boost her performance, but irrespective of Yuki, I'd argue that most characters benefit from being built here. Even without the new items, Laboratory Zero's implementation improved upon other Chaos content. My major complaints with the Zero system are that you have to pay a huge fee to access a world, get to choose only among 3 options, which may all have quite unfavorable affixes, and when you fail a run or exit early because the epiphanies didn't go your way, the world is gone. Laboratory Zero, on the other hand, gets rid of any cost associated with creating a world, and instead provides worlds upfront for various difficulties. You only pay a minor fee to reroll the affixes, and you maintain access until you've defeated the final interior boss. I truly hope these changes will be adopted for the Zero system going forward. Aside from saving resources, being able to exit and re-enter lets you easily reroll the options offered by the God's Emissary until you get to a card conversion or removal, or keep searching for a random neutral card that makes your run smoother. As you enter the map, you can also check for consecutive unidentified areas to guess where the entrance to the dimensional tunnel is. The entrance doesn't always reveal itself so clearly, but why risk it if you can restart immediately? Once you find a tunnel in the exterior, you sometimes get to choose a forbidden card among 2 options. Some of these are extremely strong and your main reason for coming to Laboratory Zero. Unfortunately, this adds more RNG to your runs, as hunting for a specific forbidden card means your run ends right here if you didn't get what you wanted. That being said, the forbidden cards are the MVPs of Laboratory Zero. Chief among them Ecstasy of Violence. This card starts with a massive cost of 9, but gets lowered by 1 every time a card is drawn, even when not in hand. With a lineup of Yuki and draw support, you can quickly get the cost down to 0, sometimes even within the first round. The cost remains reduced for the remainder of the fight, providing you with a 0 cost card that does 4 hits at an incredible 150% multiplier. This card is absurdly strong and should be considered on any DPS. Even characters without any drawing utility can make use of it by virtue of their supports, who lower the cost for them. Characters like Veronica, Nia or Cassius can do this out of the gate, but others can simply load up on a few neutral cards to fulfill that role. Generic choices are Attack and Gearback. Another prime candidate from Laboratory Zero is Confiscation, which also helps pulling forbidden cards from the deck. Moreover, Aggressive Mutant can be used on strikers to improve their drawing power. All that is to say, I haven't found any character that couldn't make use of Ecstasy of Violence. Note that the cost lowering effect only occurs when cards are drawn from the draw deck and not when cards are moved from the graveyard to the hand. When using Haru's Anchor Pointer to fetch Anchor Shot from the discard pile, the cost does not change. When repeating the action with Anchor Shot in the draw deck, the effect activates. The same is true for Rin. Here, I'm fetching 1 card from the draw and 1 from the discard pile, so the cost is lowered only by 1. While you don't always have the choice, it's worth keeping this in mind. Try to pull cards when they are shuffled back into the draw pile. Some cards and ego skills can trigger a reshuffle, after which any draw or move skill will activate the cost lowering effect of Ecstasy of Violence. Another great option among the forbidden cards is Portrait of Fury. It comes with a lower multiplier and fewer hits than Ecstasy of Violence, but offers drawing utility in return. Starting at 1 hit, for every 4 cards in hand, 1 hit gets added, and a card is drawn for each. The number of cards counts Portrait of Fury as well, even while it is played. Since the hand limit is 10, you can at most get 3 hits and draws out of this. The card is a perfect fit for a sub-DPS like Veronica, and can serve to fuel Ecstasy of Violence cost reduction. Note that if you want to maximize Portrait of Fury's effect, you need to play it with exactly 8 cards in hand, including the card itself. That way, when playing the card, you make space for a total of 3 cards in hand, and since you had 8 cards when using Portrait of Fury, you get a total of 3 hits for 3 draws. If you don't pay attention and keep drawing until you have more than 8 cards in hand, your hand will overflow. That said, the synergy between Ecstasy of Violence and Portrait of Fury is noteworthy. If you're running your main DPS alongside a sub-DPS like Veronica, Beryl, Owen, etc., you should try and add a Portrait of Fury to their decks. For the pure support characters that are not there to deal any damage, such as Mika or Nia, you may consider Eternal Hunger instead. This card provides 1 AP and card draw when it is added to the hand, though it has retain and exhaust tags. Therefore, your only means of recycling the effect is via discarding the card. Here, you see the effect activate as the card is drawn. Then, I'm using the Battle Pass partner Nyx to discard Eternal Hunger and draw it again via confiscation, thereby reactivating its effect. There aren't too many lineups that can make consistent use of Eternal Hunger, but besides Nia there are also tags on characters like Rinoa or Haru that discard all other combatants cards. A more generic alternative would be Disposable Ego, granting at least one draw, plus more when drawing a non-zero cost card. Due to this effect and its own cost, it works best in decks that emphasize higher cost cards while having battery support. Currently, such lineups will likely include Mika and Kalib, plus a DPS with more expensive cards such as Haru or Kairon. Here, I'm using Disposable Ego in such a setup, with Kalib's Vulture Ejection offering potentially up to 3 bonus draws. In this example, I'm getting a 2-cost card, so 2 more get drawn. Due to Mika's battery support, the AP sacrifice is manageable. That said, the more 0-cost cards you have in deck, the less value Disposable Ego offers. As for the remaining forbidden cards, they appear to be less useful, potentially just there to mess up your run when you're confronted with a choice among them. Engraved Malice draws 1 card and randomly activates 2 cards in hand. Unfortunately, the card has a high cost that is only offset by the lead tag. Whether you're playing the card with lead activated or by using this item to negate the cost entirely, you're getting the random activation of cards that you couldn't set up first. Therefore, I feel this card is too unreliable and potentially even messes up your turn. I can't think of any lineup that would benefit from this. Then, Gesture of Freedom is a 0-cost card that can be used once to lower the cost of another random card in hand. Since it has an initiation tag, it will always be in your starting hand. I don't think saving a single AP is worth having this card in deck, not to mention that its effect is again random. Finally, Guidance of Futility is a strange one. This is an upgrade card that provides a minor heal and stress reduction when card draw effects are activated. I guess this could find use in a setup without any sustain, but a lot of drawing utility, for instance with Yuki and Veronica, but even then I feel it should have come at 0 cost. Note that even though forbidden cards cannot be duplicated, there's one event in the interior that is an exception to the rule. Here you can see that my Rin deck includes Ecstasy of Violence twice. I unfortunately did not record the run in which I happened to encounter this event choice, but it was the same one that lets you choose the Chimera Knight item. The other choices don't always offer the copy of a selected card, so I guess it's really up to a massive amount of luck to first obtain the correct forbidden card, and then also to come across this event with that specific option. I really hope they don't continue to increase the RNG of deck building any further. Lastly, Laboratory Zero also comes with its own seasonal gear, mostly centering around Yuki's card draw gimmick. Let me briefly go over some of the most notable additions. The mythic rarity weapon Chimera Knight offers a multiplicative 35% damage bonus for an entire turn as soon as the wearer draws a card by an ability. Yuki can of course achieve this via Prepare to Subdue, but other strikers have similar tools in their kits. After having drawn a card, all of her attack cards in deck benefit from the attack bonus. In contrast, Replica Core has the same activation condition, but applies a 50% additive damage bonus only to the drawn card. This is good when a character is self-sufficient, such as Rin or Malin, but not so much when relying on supports, such as Yuki. Dopamine Injector is again fairly similar to Chimera Knight, just that it takes 2 draws to fully activate its effect, which then applies a 40% multiplicative damage bonus to all of the wearer's cards. Note that this effect activates twice when multiple cards are drawn, for instance with the Inspiration Epiphany from Yuki's Prepare to Subdue. When drawing 2 cards at once, Dopamine Injector immediately confers its full 40% damage bonus, making it quite comparable to Chimera Knight. Since obtaining the latter is in conflict with the potential copying of a forbidden card, Dopamine Injector offers an equivalent alternative to anyone with access to multi-draws. Then, Wings of Freedom is one of the few armor pieces in the game that provides an offensive bonus. When attacked, the wearer gains a 10% damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times. Here, Yuki wears the item. With each received hit, her skill multipliers go up ever so slightly. Notably, once activated, the bonus remains in effect for the entire fight. I've only rarely encountered the event that rewards the Wings of Freedom, but it's probably best in slot for most damage dealers. Against multiple targets or multi-hit opponents, you get to max out the bonus immediately. Finally, one of the best accessories to come out of Lab 0 is Source of the Forbidden, which has 1/3 of a chance to apply Vulnerable to an enemy when receiving attacks. Vulnerability boosts damage multiplicatively by 50% and is one of the best debuffs in the game. This is my preference on most support characters as it helps amplify damage for practically free. An honorable mention goes to this blue item, Incomplete Carapace. It grants a whopping 140% fixed shield when you end your turn with 3 or more cards in hand. This is amazing on characters like Khalib or Orlea, who typically run on lineups that don't burn through their entire hand each round. Your Chaos runs will be much more comfortable with this item, though it doesn't provide much in other content. That should do it for this overview of Laboratory Zero. I really hope the developers can find a better balance across all existing Chaos content, so we aren't forced into off-element builds every season. Being pushed to run Yuki into Void and Passion enemies did not leave the best first impression. Her Chaos experience was painful to say the least. Without Veronica, you're stuck relying on neutral cards from your supports just to keep her deck functional, which then reduces the chance of copying Yuki's own cards. Not exactly ideal. And honestly, the increasing reliance on RNG in the deck building process isn't doing the mode any favors. When optimal strategy becomes removing every non-basic card from your supports, or immediately resetting if you don't hit the right forbidden card, that's a sign the system needs rethinking. Those aren't decisions that feel fun, they feel like the player fighting the game's design. Hopefully, the devs take note and bring some improvements going forward. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. How are you liking this season and the current state of Chaos content in CZN? In any case, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.